Hello, everybody. It's Philip VanDusen. Thanks for joining me today. I'm super stoked to be here. I have some really excellent, exciting things to share with you today. And as usual, my administrative marketing help, Joselle M. Tech from the Philippines, is here to moderate. You will see her in the comments, and she has full authority to speak for me. And I just have my screen up here so I can make sure that yeah, commercial. Joselle says commercial. Yes. And another commercial is Joselle's agency, The Rolling Media, is amazing. And if you don't follow her on Facebook or Instagram, you should, because she posts really killer, inspirational branding and marketing and design content. So thumbs up to Joselle. And thank you guys so much for watching and for joining me today. And so what we're going to be talking about is a number of things. Actually, I have a bunch of stuff on my plate to share. And a few announcements, and also some great content. So I'm going to be talking today about how you can build your creative business, your freelance business, your consulting business, your agency with partnerships. And partnerships are kind of special and near and dear to my heart because they are what I utilize to run my agency. Essentially, I work in a partnership model, and I'll talk a little bit about that more today as I talk through this content. Hi, Michael. Hey, Peter. Peter, great to see you. Atharva, thank you for joining. Really appreciate it. And so I can, I may wait just a couple seconds just to see if we can, some other people pop in and say hello. Samantha, thanks for joining us. Partnerships are really amazing, and this topic will link in really well and really closely to one of the announcements I'm going to make, and I'm super, super excited to make this announcement. I have a bunch of stuff going on at the same time, and if any of you follow my newsletter, Brand Muse, you may have noticed that they have gotten a little less frequent over the last month or so, and that is because I have had so much on my plate. And kind of reaching the final stages of time before launch. So the Muse is going to be a little less frequent for at least the foreseeable short future, but it will be back in full force. In the meantime, you'll be getting some more emails from me to announce and to hip you to everything that's going on in the Verhaal brand design and the new brand design masters world. So that being said, I want to just double check with Joselle and make sure that the feed is coming through. Everyone can see me, I take it. Hey, Karen. Karen Umber's here. Cool. Jelani, Sheila, good to see you again. Andrea, Evie, Agravi Media, cool. Thank you for joining. And Joe, oh, you're so funny. Okay, I have to close this one window so it doesn't distract me. And close this window. All right, cool. So one quick promo item. Wait, we got to move this out of the way. I'm sponsored by Daniel Scott, who has an amazing Adobe application training website. He does video training. Daniel Scott's company is called Bring Your Own Laptop, so therefore BYOL.me is the web address. And Daniel is a certified Adobe trainer and speaks at the Adobe Max conference every year. Super, super knowledgeable guy. And he's totally charming. And he does really, really great tutorial videos on all the major Adobe applications. And he's been on my Brand Muse interview series, is going to be coming on my podcast again soon. Anyway, my wife actually is moving from one career to another and is now studying graphic design, and she has been starting to take Daniel's courses and is just blown away with how amazing they are. So I highly encourage you, if you want to learn more about Adobe products and how to use them, go to byol.me. Please use my affiliate link. It's /Philip. It's very easy to remember. And that I'll get a small commission for that. It doesn't add anything to your price or your subscription. And I believe the subscription at this point is like $25 a month for access to all his videos, which is an insane deal. So definitely check out byol.me/Philip. And so who else? Patrice, Caleb, welcome. Naomi, thank you guys for coming. So I have a couple little announcements to make. One is that I'm launching a new brand, and it is called Brand Design Masters. Brand Design Masters is going to be a overarching parent brand for a number of different sub-brands. And I'm going to share those with you as I get into my slide presentation. And I'm sorry, this graphic is like totally covering my face up. Wait, I have to turn this back off. Here, I can move this down. There we go. Brand Design Masters Academy is my store, essentially, where all of my products, video courses, mastermind, coaching, etc., will be housed. That is where you can access anything that you've engaged with me to buy or to use or to learn from. And so Brand Design Masters Academy is the overarching kind of umbrella brand. So there's a Brand Design Masters Academy. It's available at this URL, branddesignmasters.com. Very easy to remember. Under that umbrella are going to be some other things. You might have seen in the last few days or the last week or so that I launched a podcast. So I launched a podcast which, surprise, surprise, is called the Brand Design Masters Podcast with Philip VanDusen. This is the second kind of sub-brand under the Brand Design Masters master brand. And that is available. You can listen to it anywhere. It's on SoundCloud. It's on Spotify. It's on iTunes. It's on a lot of different platforms. If you go to podcast.branddesignmasters.com, you'll go to the subscription page that shows every place that it goes and it is played. And so I highly recommend you check out my podcast. Now, caveat, I'm just going to be totally honest about this. The first season, most of it is repurposed content from my videos, but they are interviews, Brand Design Masters interviews, and some solo shows that I've done that you might not have heard. And so I encourage you to check them out. There will be more and more new content coming out. I'm going to Social Media Marketing World in San Diego on this weekend, starting Saturday. And I'm going to be doing some interviews there, and those will be showing up on the podcast very soon. So please, please, please check out the Brand Design Masters podcast. And you would do me a total solid if you gave me a review, gave me a few stars. That would be super, super helpful. And thank you so much for all your support and encouragement, to tell you the truth, to launch a podcast. In particular, hats off to Joselle, who was my major pressure cooker who got me to start a podcast. And ages ago, if you've been following me for a long time, you know I did a video called Whether You Should Do a Podcast or a YouTube Channel. And I came out pretty heavily on the YouTube channel side in that video. And all of my reasons were valid, and I still believe in them. But the one thing that I discovered is that people who are my YouTube audience, for the most part, tends to be a little younger, like under 40 is the majority of the people. My email list tends to be a little older. And also podcast listeners tend to be a little older. And listening to podcasts is, as you know, so much easier to do when you're, driving or walking your dog or whatever than it is to watch a video. So I really felt strongly that I wanted to get my content and my ideas and my thoughts and the thoughts of all of the incredible people that I know out into the world in a way that was more easily consumable. So launched the podcast. That's going. Totally stoked. Please check it out. And I will get rid of that graphic now. And now we're going to go to Skycam because we love the Skycam, right? I love having Ecamm Live software is awesome because you can set your DSLR up wherever you are in the room and you get like this totally different view, which is fun. It's fun for me. And you can see, actually I panned it down a little bit since I did it, but Buck, my green deer, is up over here, and I'm surrounded by lights and stuff. It's like a whole show. Anyway, I'll come back to that just in case you get visually bored. Okay, so Dan, welcome. Margaret, welcome. Paul, welcome. Thank you guys so much for showing up. Now let me look at like what else I have on this agenda here. Okay, so let's jump into the content. And what the content is going to be is I'm going to talk about how to build your creative business with partnerships. And I'm going to be sharing some slides. It's going to be a slide presentation. I'll probably bounce back and forth between, camera and slides, but I'm going to jump over to the slides now and start talking you through some of this content today. Welcome, Samantha. Thank you. Thanks for joining me. Okay, so let's check it out. Let me get rid of this graphic. Let me move over to this screen. Okay, so hopefully everyone can see the Brand Design Masters identity. And as I said, launching Brand Design Masters, it's going to have a lot of things under it. I'm going to be introducing video courses through the Academy. Sorry, got to get over it so my progress thing works. The Brand Design Masters Academy is going to be the school, or where the holding place where all of my courses and coaching, etc., take place. The Brand Design Masters podcast, as I just mentioned, and also the Brand Design Masters Guild, which is going to be a mastermind group that I'm launching. That will also be under that umbrella, and there's going to be a lot more on that later today. Oh, the one thing I wanted to mention, and you might have seen this in the announcement email for this live, is that I am going to mention a secret word during this live. And if you email me that secret word after I get off the air, you will be entered into a chance to win a free hour consulting session with me. And that's a $400 value. That's what I charge per hour for coaching. And what I will do is on Saturday morning when I turn off the contest, I'm going to take everybody who sent me an email with a secret word in it, and I'm going to put them into a hat, and I'm going to pick it out, and then I'll contact that one person who gets the free coaching session. And so your chances are pretty good getting it. So you're going to have to stick around though to find out the secret word. So excuse me, little Red Bull action. All right, Ted, welcome from Seattle. That's very cool. All right, so here we go. So let's move into this a little bit more. I mentioned the podcast. If you are curious and want to see where it is, go to https://bdmpodcast.com. Now here's the thing. It's this weird URL domain forwarding issue that I have going on, but you can't use www in the URL. You just have to do /bdmpodcast.com. That will take you to the page that shows all the places my podcast is syndicated. So check that out. There's going to be another list, another URL later in the live session, which will also be important. That also you can't use with the www. So just make a mental note of that. All right. So here we go. Let's talk about the creative economy. You guys might have heard me talk about the creative economy, and more businesses, as the internet explodes, more companies, almost every single company in the world needs to be, to a certain extent, a media company. Gary Vee has said something like, every company in the world needs to be 80% their product or service company and 20% a media company. The problem, I believe that, and I think that that's totally true. The problem with that is that a lot of companies are not prepared or able or have the skill set or the people to be a media company, and they need help. And that's where we as creative professionals come in, because we can offer them those products, those services, those graphics, those designs, those videos, that audio that they need to drive their business forward. And so having a broad offering of what you can offer clients is, number one, meeting the needs of the creative economy, which is dominating the business landscape these days. And we, as creative professionals, are hot. We are the hot item. And so we have to strike while the iron is hot, because industries don't get this chance very often. And we are at the vanguard of a very new kind of take on design and marketing and need for design and marketing as companies no longer have to, do TV, outdoor radio, retail. They are on 50 different platforms and they have to do video and audio and social and podcasts and YouTube channels and all this sort of stuff. We are perfectly positioned to help them. And combining with the fact that statistics are saying by 2025, over 50%, if not 50% of the U.S. workforce will be independent contractors or consultants. And preparing ourselves for that or moving into that realm of work is going to be critical to our success. How that links to partnerships is that we as independent people or small agency people, we can leverage partnerships to make best use of that statistic that the workforce is moving to independent contractors. And that feeds right into this next point, which is that larger companies are using smaller and smaller agencies and contractors. The agency landscape is dramatically changing, and really large companies. I was the vice president of design of PepsiCo for Global Snacks, and in that role, I was using smaller and smaller agencies to do major global branding jobs. It wasn't that way 5 years ago. And that is because smaller agencies are more nimble, they have more resources, they can do things faster, they can do things cheaper. And when I say fast and cheap, I don't mean like painfully cheap. What I mean is cheap in comparison to the big brick and mortar dinosaur money hog agencies that have dominated the landscape forever. So we are, again, perfectly positioned to take advantage of that change in the agency landscape. Okay, Paul, don't worry about it. I'll tell you exactly what you need to do when you hear the secret word. And it'll be at the end and you'll get, well, maybe not at the end. Maybe I'll put it right in the center. And you'll have instructions of exactly what you need to do. So how can partnerships build your creative business? The thing to remember is that if you're an independent designer, if you are, maybe you and a partner or a couple partners and you're a small entity, or if you're a consultant or a freelancer, if you're independent, you have to remember it doesn't have to be just you. You can offer a broader suite of services and still not have to take on, brick and mortar, rent, healthcare, salaries to employees, hiring people full time. There are different ways of doing this. And if you're in a larger organization, you can expand what you're doing without hiring more full-time employees. Part of that could be using, regular agencies, but also you can be using partners, smaller consultancies or individual consultants in a much more effective way. And what that can do is it can help you land bigger, more complex projects, particularly if you're an independent. Because by utilizing partnerships, you can offer more things and therefore take on more complex and possibly even bigger projects with bigger financial, benefits attached to that. You can offer more capabilities than what you personally currently offer. And you can be essentially or become to a certain extent a full service agency without, as I said, taking on brick and mortar, without hiring full-time people or paying salaries. You can essentially scale. You can scale up and you can scale down. Down is the important part. Here's the thing. In the real agency brick and mortar world, when they get a new client or a big project, they scale up. They hire people. They take on full-time employees. If they lose a client or a big project goes away, they fire people. As you know, if you've ever worked in the agency environment, people are hired and fired all the time. It's just the nature of the game. The cool thing about partnerships and staying small and nimble is that you can scale up and down as needed per project. You don't take on the responsibility of full-time employees or the pressure of paying monthly salaries. You are only paying people and using people when you need them and when you have the work to pay them. So I'm going to talk about 10 things that partnerships can do for you. First of all, you can get more business. I'm going to see if I can pop out of this periodically. Hold on a second. Yeah. So you can get more business. If you are just offering one thing, say you're a graphic designer, say you're an animator, say you do audio editing, you can only take on specific projects, right? Audio editing projects, video editing projects, a graphic design, a brand identity project. But what happens when someone comes to you and they say, I need brand identity, but I also need some strategy, and I need some copywriting communication, and I need some social media graphics, and then I need a bit of a marketing plan to put this all to use. You're like, okay, I can do this part of it. And a lot of times what can happen is you can lose the job because they're looking for someone or some entity that can manage most of it. So if you learn how to develop partnerships and use partnerships and operate in a partnership fashion, you can get more business and you can take on bigger, more complex projects. Now, it doesn't come with, it doesn't come free. You have to do a little extra work, and you also have to build the infrastructure in order to do that. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that today, building that infrastructure. So you can get more business. Number two, sorry, this is all mousing. There we go. Okay. You can take on bigger projects. So to a certain extent, I just talked about that. I talked about 1 and 2 at the same time. So we'll move ahead. Extra brain power. Here's the other thing, is that by having and utilizing partners, you are increasing your own brain trust. If you have problems that you need to solve, or you have sticky issues that you need help thinking through, you have other people to use. For instance, I do naming. I do business naming, brand naming, product naming. And I have kind of a core group of 2 or 3 people who I pull in for naming brainstorming. You can brainstorm names yourself, but brainstorming with other people is always much more fruitful when it comes to naming. And so having that extra brain power from my agency is really important, and it really helps with naming projects. So having that extra brain power to think through, whether it's a strategic approach, or maybe it has something to do with how you're laying something out, or even just getting that kind of feedback on what you're doing, or giving feedback to your partner on what they're doing, can be, a bonus to your clients and a bonus to you. Another thing that links right to that is that you can learn new stuff by exposing yourself to the working processes of other creative professionals who are doing specializations that are different than yours. You are going to learn more about how they do what they do, and what the stages and phases of work are that they go through in order to do the work they do. So by working in partnerships, you are getting a much deeper understanding and knowledge and peek into how other creative professionals operate. That is super helpful, because as you pitch clients, as new business comes to you, and you're, trying to convince the client that you are the person for that job, understanding and being able to talk the language of other creative professions is helpful, because then you can come across credibly as knowing what you're talking about. If you're a graphic designer and the prospective client needs, some video editing, and you can rattle off, a bunch of terminology that has to do with video editing, even though you don't do it, you understand the process, you understand the methodology that they go through, you can sell in some video editing work even though you're not doing it. And by exposing yourself and working with partners closely, you can learn new stuff, which can make you smarter, communicate better, and win more business with clients. Okay. Hey, Giselle, tell me what you said, what you meant by that comment. Your top is better, less distracting. I don't know what that means. Okay. Number 5 is build management skills. When you are working in partnerships, partnership with people and managing larger projects or slightly more complex projects where you're doing a piece of it, but then you're also managing and organizing someone else doing a piece of that work, you are tiptoeing into managing people, managing projects on a deeper and more complex level than you may be used to. And again, just like it's, building that understanding and knowledge and vernacular of how to talk about creative processes that you don't do, building management skills is also building those muscles in terms of being able to understand the larger workings of more complex projects. And you are having to now communicate to you're having to communicate to other stakeholders, your partners, and manage them actively. And as Joselle Tech, my moderator, knows, she has a team of people in her agency. Management skills are learned and they're developed over time. You don't just immediately understand how to deal with every single management scenario. So working in partnerships, you can really build those muscles, those management muscles. The great thing about building management skills, not only management skills with your partners, but all sorts of management skills, emotional intelligence skills, all that sort of stuff, are directly applicable to how you manage your clients. And we all know that managing our clients is like herding cats sometimes. So the more management skills that you have, the better equipped you're going to be to effectively manage your clients. So keep that in mind. Number 6 is that you can build communication skills. A little bit, about what I talked about in terms of being able to communicate the specialization of other creative professionals that you're working with, but also just the fact that you're going to be communicating with them, you're going to be briefing them on projects, you're going to be giving them feedback, you're going to be acting as the conduit between the client and your partner in communicating what the client wants, the feedback the client has, how the project is progressing. You're going to be communicating on a deeper level with your clients because you're going to be communicating not only your feedback, but also a broader range of information and stuff that has to be said from your team. So working in partnerships is definitely going to build your communication skills too. It also allows you to practice reciprocal relationships. And this kind of links back to number 6 too. But what I mean by reciprocal relationships are there's a give and take, right? Just like that slide of the 2 monkeys cleaning each other. There's a give and take in any kind of relationship. And there's a give and take in creative partnerships or agency partnerships where you're utilizing a specialist to help you with the project. There are reciprocal relationships when it comes to you working with your clients. When we're independent, it can be very easy to isolate. It can be very easy to spend days at a time not really interacting directly in any kind of complex fashion with other people other than periodic check-ins with your client. When you're working with partners, that sort of back and forth, that sort of communication that goes into managing, organizing, keeping a project rolling is beneficial to kind of build those communication muscles. And here's the other thing, and I'll get to this a little bit later in terms of another range of benefits, is that by bringing in people to work with you, you're also broadening your network and making yourself available possibly to them or for work they might get that they can't do themselves that they need your skill set for. So it creates a more symbiotic relationship is what I'm trying to say. And so number 8 is that it broadens your business development funnel. And that's just what I was talking about, which is when you bring someone in as a partner to help you work a project, you're essentially giving them business. You're acting as a business development funnel for them. When you bring them in to do that, there's something I like to call subliminal reciprocity, which is that over time, the more good you do for people, the more good they want to do for you. And if you bring people into projects and, make their work lives easier by bringing them work, that karma will come back to you. And you, just as you were bringing them in and bringing work to them, they will possibly bring in work to you. And the more partners that you work with, the broader that geometric progression of your business development funnel comes into play. So keep that in mind. Number 9 is that it increases your meaningful network. We all have LinkedIn connections. We have Facebook friends. We have Instagram followers. Hey, Jarmello. Cool. Thanks for joining. But to a certain extent, those are more surface, right? We have Twitter followers. We, tweet back and forth at each other. There are those sorts of more surface type of relationships. And then there are more deep, meaningful network relationships where you build understanding, knowledge, trust in other people. This, again, happens really frequently and is really fostered by masterminds. And by working in partnerships, you're going to be working more regularly in a deeper fashion with more people. And so instead of just having, 100, 200, 1,000 LinkedIn connections, you're going to have 4 or 5 of those or 10 of those who you've worked with on projects that they're really going to know you, your DNA, what you can do, what you're great at, who your clients are, what kind of work you're interested in doing. And you're going to be interested in the same thing in them. And that is where you create these symbiotic relationships where work becomes kind of a flow. Business comes in and you work with your trusted partners. They will bring you in to work with them, and it becomes a relationship, kind of an economy. Hey, Samantha, I don't think Philip means partnership in the traditional sense that we would usually think of partnerships. Okay. Explain that. But what I mean is agency partners. I operate a partnership model agency. That's what I'm talking about. I'm a single person. I have a network of 8 to 10 specialist partners that I work with on a regular basis to work client projects. I don't pay them salaries. I pay them project fees. And I build teams to work projects specifically for that project. And they white label, what's called white label. They work under the banner of my agency. They are my agency partners, and they make up my agency. So as I'm going through this work, Samantha, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about partnerships in terms of agency, strategic, creative, professional partnerships. I hope that clarifies things. Abramovic, welcome. Thanks for coming. I appreciate your showing up. And number 10 is the big one, right? We all want to make more money. And developing professional partnerships, close professional partnerships, will make you more money. It'll make your friends and your contacts more money, your partners more money, and you will make more money. Because of all the things I had just said, which is your business development funnel is going to get broader. You're going to be able to charge more for what you do. When you bring in partners, someone's doing video editing for you for a project. You pay them the fee that they want for that editing, but then you also mark it up. So you make money on their piece of the project, even though you're not doing anything. Essentially, you're marking up their piece of the project in order for you to, to pay for your account management involvement, but also the fact that you brought them work, and you can charge more money because your client's getting more value from your agency. And you're going to be getting more work because you can accept more work, because you'll be able to accept broader, more complex projects that are beyond your usual capability set. Alrighty. So, what's in it for them? What's in it for your partners? Number one, finding work is really hard. You know that. I mean, it's hard to find work. And if you can find work, you can find people to work it. So You can find work that you don't even do. You can go out and find all sorts of, video editing work. And then if you can have a bunch of video editor partners that can do it, you can make money marking up their work, and you don't even do the work. So, but finding work is hard. So people love to partner because they don't have to do the work of finding the work. People love having work brought to their door. Every time I call up a partner or email a partner and say, hey, I got this project and I need some user insight work on it, or I need some strategy work on it. People are like, wow, great, super stoked, because I brought work to their door. They didn't have to work on it. They didn't have to network for it. They didn't have to do any outreach for it. It's manna from heaven. And I would say, in my experience anyway, about 80% of the people I've ever approached for partnerships have been totally open to them because people love having work brought to their door. And and we all like to stay booked, right? We like to stay booked with projects, so we're busy. Being an independent contractor, it's mountains and valleys, right? It's up and down, and it's feast or famine. And it sucks when it's famine, and it's so much more comfortable when it's even. And so staying booked in a reasonable fashion is always great, and that's what's in it for your partners, because they can stay more booked. Hey, Naomi, welcome. How much do you mark up a project? Good question. It kind of depends. It depends on the size of the client and how much they can bear. I generally mark up 20%, but it also depends on how much. Let me just give you, I'll be totally transparent. Let me give you an example. If I'm using a copywriter and I need like $1,000 worth of copywriting, it's going to cost me at least $1,000 of my time to account manage that phase of the project. So I may mark up her work 100%. I may mark it up 200%. Now, if I'm using, a user research expert who's going to be charging, $20,000 for her work, I may only mark that up, 10% or 20%, because I can't mark, a $20,000 piece of work up 100% and charge my client that, because it wouldn't be bearable. So it really depends. And we can make that a topic of another live, actually. Very, very good question. How do you find your partners? So anyway, hold on. I'm going to back out of this just for a second and just check in with you guys. So first of all, thanks for sticking with me so far. I know there's a lot of content. And I just wanted to check in with you guys and say, is this helpful? Is this making sense to you? Are there any topics or points of this that you want me to kind of dive a little bit deeper on? What I'm going to be going through in the next few minutes is how you can find partners and how you kind of set up those partnerships, some of the legal, some of the infrastructure parts of setting up those partnerships and what that looks like. And then I'm going to be sharing about how you can really rocket fuel your partnerships by something that I'm going to offer you. And then there's a secret word at the end, so you can even join in and see if you can get that hour free consulting with me. So Peter says very helpful. Dan says face. I don't know what face means. Serena, cool, helpful. All right. Naomi, makes sense. Cool. Karen loves it. All right. Joselle is capturing questions for me. So if you have a question that hasn't been answered or came earlier in the comment feed, she is capturing it and she's sending it to me on Messenger. So I have it here on my screen. And when I get to the end, I will answer these questions. So thank you very much. Dan says, big help in connecting ideas for me. Cool. That's what I love to do. I love connecting people. And I also love connecting people with ideas or new ways of looking at what they do. So Ian, all good so far. I'm looking forward to the next parts. Okay, cool. All right. I'm going to keep going. Caleb, very helpful. Even in Ethiopia. See? Boundaryless. It's a boundaryless global creative economy. All right. I'm going to move forward then. Let me slip back to my slides here. All right. How do you find partners? All right. Sorry, got to activate that slide. There we go. You find people who have complementary skills to yours. So say you're a graphic designer. You don't want to it's easy to make friends with other graphic designers because you go to graphic design conferences and you meet and you went to school with a bunch of graphic design people. So you're probably surrounded by graphic designers. But do you know audio editors? Do you know video editors? Do you know special effects people? Do you know user research experts? Do you know copywriters? Do you know web developers? Do you know app developers? Do you know coders? I mean, there's just this huge range, obviously, right? Or art directors, creative directors, producers, film, video producers, photographers. And there's a whole range of photographers, tabletop photographers, lifestyle photographers, drone photographers. I mean, it just goes on and on. Find people with skills that are complementary to yours. Start from the center. If you're doing graphic design, you may want to start with copywriting and social media. So you could have someone to go do social media marketing and do copywriting, and you do the graphic design. That's starting in kind of close because those things relate very closely to each other. As you get more and more comfortable with the partnership model, you can start to branch out. Maybe you want to, get involved with a strategist. Maybe you want to start getting, build some partnerships with a web developer. So you can have a greater skill set in what you can deliver your clients. Where are you going to get them? Number one, you can get them from referrals. So always best to get them referred from other network connections because then, it's not like advertising on Craigslist. You can get them old school connections. You can get them through LinkedIn, ex-coworkers. Ex-coworkers are always great. Networking, conferences, Facebook groups, and masterminds. Masterminds italicized and bolded because masterminds are one of the best places to find partners because you get to deeply know people, their skill sets, how they work, how they think, what they're great at, and what they can bring to the table. And they get to know you that way too. And if you're having to search for partners from scratch, say, you don't know any 3D modelers, right? You may have to go out and look for 3D modelers just like a client would be looking for you. A client who needs graphic design or marketing might, do a web search or might go on LinkedIn and, or Facebook groups or whatever. They'll go out and try and find, someone to do the work they need for their business. And to a certain extent, if you don't know anybody or if you have exhausted bullet point number 2, then you may have to go out and, look at and vet people just like you would if you were hiring them to do it for your business. And then I would say that in general, you should engage multiple people who do the same thing, just in case one is busy or hit by a bus. I always say hit by a bus. I've said that my whole career. Because, things change, situations change. People get married. They decide to move to another country, not do graphic design anymore or whatever. They get hit by a bus, and so you always want to make sure that you have, a couple people who do the same thing. And what do you do after you find them? That's the big question. Like, what's the next step? How do you vet these people? How do you take them into your fold, right? You want to start off, first of all, you want to review their work, their portfolio. You might want to look at their LinkedIn history too. Have they been in 18 jobs and spent 3 months there? That's a red flag, right? So see where they've worked, how long they've worked. Maybe they've been independent their whole life. It's harder to tell. But do some research, just like you were going to hire them. Get references. See if they have references they can, give you to talk to other people. Get to know them personally and professionally. One of the things that I've learned later in my career is that the personal and the professional really meld, particularly when it comes to working with partners. And, having partners that you can trust is, knowing them personally, not just professionally, is always helpful to the relationship. Understand the skills they have. So the apps they know, the industries that they know, their favorite kinds of work that they like to do, really kind of get a better understanding of what it is they have that they're bringing to the table. Because a lot of people have subsidiary skill sets, right? I mean, some people who do copywriting can also, write speeches, write podcast scripts. There are video editors who also produce, or there's video editors who also do a little bit of 3D animation on the side, or motion graphics on the side, or something like that. Sorry, back up. Oh, sorry about that. I'm going to have to, my bullet points went all wacky on me. So how much do they charge? You want to find out how much they charge for the work that they do, because you don't want to sell their services if you don't know exactly how much you're selling it for. And if they charge too much, you may not be able to use them. If they charge too little, hey, bonus, and they do great work, you'll be able to mark it up a lot and still deliver it to your clients and make a hefty profit on it. What's the best way to engage and communicate with them? Some people like texting, some like Messenger, some like the phone. Some I'm a Zoom guy. I live my life on Zoom. And so because you want to make sure that your communication style jives with theirs, right? If they're a phone person and you hate the phone, you rather do face-to-face on Zoom or in real life or whatever that is. You just want to make sure that your communication style jives with them. All right. You also want to ask if there's anything that you can do for them. So that is opening yourself up to working under possibly their banner, their agency name, if they have work that you could help them with. After you get in touch, you want to stay in touch, shoot them an email, just text them every 6 to 8 weeks. Just say hi, see what they're doing, checking in. Again, it's personal. It's a personal connection, and it keeps you top of mind. It lets you know that they are top of mind with you, and you are top of mind with them. And that feels good. It feels good for them. It feels good for you. And also, if they get work or something comes their way, if you're the one who's constantly in touch with them, you're going to be the one that they think of. You want to constantly date new people. Situations change. Like I said before, people get married. They decide not to do that kind of work anymore. They want to become a nurse, whatever it is. So you want to keep your options open. Start with low stakes interactions. So when you start working with people on projects, you don't want to try someone out on a giant project for a huge amount of money and then find out that they suck, right? Or that they're bristly when it comes to working with clients, or they don't take feedback well, or they don't listen, or they're a bit of a prima donna, or whatever that is. You don't want to find that out when there's a whole lot on the line. So try to tiptoe into working with people. Pay attention to communication style, as I said before. Now, let's talk about a little bit of legal contract stuff. And this is just very, very high level, and I will get into this more in depth when I'm offering what I'm going to be talking about in just a few minutes. Please stay tuned. Okay. Contract stuff. Get written quotes and proposals. Just like you have to give a written quote, ballpark quote over the phone, and then a written proposal with the solid quote to your clients, you want to ask for and receive the same thing from your partners. They are contracting with you to deliver a good, a service, whatever that is, and you have to nail them down to how much it's going to cost and when they're going to deliver it and what they're delivering. So you want to make sure that you are getting things in writing from your partners. Non-compete agreements, and this filters right in. I'm going to go through these bullets really quickly, and then I'll just talk about the whole subject. Non-compete agreements are basically a legal contract that says that people can't go around you and they can't steal your clients. So if you bring in a partner into a job, they may doing the lion's share of the work in that project, and you want to make sure that they don't go, after the project's over, they suddenly start working with that client directly and you get cut out of the picture and they essentially steal the client from you. Non-compete agreements put into a contract their inability to do that. It protects you, and it sets expectations in place. And then there's non-disclosure agreements. a lot of times, I'm sure if you've worked with clients, they may make you sign non-disclosure agreements, which means that you can't share the information they're sharing with you in order to do the work that you do. Well, same thing goes for your partners. Your non-compete agreement with the client only covers you, or it may cover your agency. But if they're not an employee of your agency, a true employee with a salary, then they really aren't legally covered by your non-disclosure agreement. So you have to get a non-disclosure agreement from them for any project that you hire them for. The thing is these things are very boilerplate. Like once you get the agreement, all you're doing is filling in a name, a date, and a client name and getting signatures. It's very easy. But, lessons learned, you don't get this stuff, some shit hits the fan, you're going to really wish that you had. So getting these kinds of things in your realm of understanding and in place in your standard operating procedure and working with people, very, very highly recommended. Okay, just a little bit of infrastructure stuff. There is bookkeeping when you're working with partners is a little more complex, right? You have to elevate yourself from not just doing, your design or whatever the creative is that you're doing. You have to become, to a certain extent, a project manager, because you have to communicate to your partners. You have to communicate what your partners are saying to your clients and project manage a deeper, more complex project. So you have to learn more about project management, but then also that bookkeeping aspect is a little more complex. Bookkeeping, financial bookkeeping. You have to set up some sort of a method to pay your partners, right? So yeah, sure, you're used to getting checks for work that you're doing for your clients, but you also have to set up payment methods to pay your partners, and that may be different for different people. If they're in another country, that can also be a little more complex. I have a graphic design partner who's in the UK, and when I pay him, I have to wire it to him. And it's, you got to deal with your bank and all sorts of stuff. I have, a partner in the Philippines. She knows who she is, and we do payment through PayPal. So it's easier that way. There's less fees. So depending on where your partners are and what kind of payment process they want to do, you may have to work that out with them. You also have to know and learn how to attribute their fee to your project. And this is what I mean by bookkeeping is more complex, is that some financial tracking software doesn't give you the opportunity or the capability of attaching subcontractor work to your projects. And QuickBooks, FreshBooks, when I was looking at software a couple years ago, neither QuickBooks or FreshBooks could do it adequately. I ended up going with Xero, which is a much more complex and deep financial software, but it has the capability of hiring and attaching subcontractor work to projects. Makes bookkeeping, financial bookkeeping, a lot easier. You're also going to need some sort of project tracking software, and those are things like Basecamp and Monday and Trello and Asana. Personally, the last thing I need is yet another app that I got to deal with. I work with email with my partners. So, email, Google Suite, Dropbox, I'm good. But I'm a very organized kind of person. Other people do like that kind of central information hub for projects. Or also, if your projects get really complex and you got 6 or 8 partners and you have a long timeline and a big Gantt chart of where all these phases are going to overlap and interact and stuff like that, you may want a deeper project management software. So here is a transition point. One of the things I wanted to say now is that I just walked you through a whole bunch of stuff. Or sorry, this is like, there. Sorry, I had to readjust my autofocus. I just walked you through a whole lot of stuff about partnerships, agency partnerships, and how you can utilize them to scale your agency effectively, make more money, take in bigger projects, and address the needs of the new creative economy without having to do brick and mortar and hire people and all that sort of stuff. And we can do this again. I can get even more deep into it, but I wanted to give you kind of a broad overview of of this landscape and what this kind of thing can do for you. Here's the real amazing point, is that I've been involved in 4 masterminds over the last 6 years, and masterminds have added absolute nitro rocket fuel to my business and my learning curve as I moved from 20 plus years in corporate, big agency, big corporate, into my own partnership agency and being an independent. Being part of masterminds, paid masterminds, large communities, smaller masterminds, have accelerated my learning and also massively increased my range and breadth of very deep trusted partnerships. And so masterminds foster the exact same kinds of things that what powerful partnerships, what you gain from powerful partnerships. And sorry, I gotta do this whole thing again. Okay. They help you build professional community, so deep, meaningful network. You have trusted professional peers that you will get to know. They will get to know you. You get to know how they think and what they're really great at, and the kind of work that they do. Being a part of Mastermind is also super inspiring and very motivating, because when you are around other deeply motivated, ambitious, creative people, it will add juice to you. Like, seriously, whenever I'm feeling like a little bit of a lag and I have my Friday mastermind group, I come out of it with like this huge burst of energy and ideas of like what I want to do next. Like, I'm never done. I always come out with like a bunch of new stuff I want to try, or a new application, or a new resource, or something. They're very inspiring, very motivating. They help you with goal setting and accountability. So, it's easier to set goals by yourself, but if you don't have anybody who is an accomplished person with insight into kind of what you do and how you do it, it's hard to set goals that are SMART goals. You know what SMART goals are, right? So specific, measurable, accountable, attainable, I forget what R is, and time bound. You want to make sure that you're setting clear goals and that then you're held accountable for working on them, and you have to report back to people. It's so easy to set goals and then to let them slip, and a month slips and 6 months slips, and then you're into your next year and you're like, oh, that was my major goal for last year and I never got it done. Having some accountability and people who you're checking up on with about your goals is really really motivating. It also 10x's your brain power in problem solving. When you're independent, and there's a video, my next video is going to come out next week, and Joselle can attest to this because she edited the video, is that problem solving and making decisions when you're more independent is really challenging, because you have to make 20, 30 decisions a day. And the biggest decisions, sometimes you can procrastinate on because you're not sure whether you're making the right decision or not. And masterminds can be really helpful in helping you through that. And then they also just bring new ideas, methods, tools, resources, etc. So this leads me to my real big announcement. Alan, I will explain the secret word at the very end. And the Brand Design Masters Guild is a private, members-only mastermind that I am launching. And I'm launching it today. It's you have to apply. I'm going to handpick 8 to 10 accomplished, ambitious professionals to put in a mastermind group. And we are going to accomplish all of the things that I just laid out in that last slide. You've heard the quote, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. And when it comes to masterminds, that is the most true statement ever. And in the Brand Design Masters Guild, you're going to be in the right room, because I guarantee there's going to be people smarter than you in that room, and you're going to be learning from them. So keep that in mind. The Brand Design Masters Guild, here's the specs on it, right? It's going to be 12 weeks. It's time bound. It's 3 months long. So it's not, ongoing. It's not a subscription. It's a set period of time. We may, depending on how it goes, this is my kind of founders mastermind guild, the first offering of it. It may continue, but, or we may just have another 12-week session after that. I also may end up offering a smaller membership sort of community later, but this is the launch, and this is kind of it is the vanguard of mastermind groups. 8 to 10 handpicked peers, where we're going to feedback. We're going to give each other feedback on challenges, set goals, have accountability, accelerated learning, rocket-fueled growth. And then we're going to be developing and nurturing really long-lasting relationships with each other. We're going to have a private Facebook group so we can communicate with each other when we're offline, ask questions, share resources. On this Facebook group, you can share files, you can share videos. It's going to be really awesome. And then also all the calls are going to be recorded. It's going to take place, as I said, on Zoom. All the calls will be recorded and uploaded to our guild product on branddesignmasters.com. And you can have access to those calls to re-review them, re-listen to them, or for any reason, if you didn't make a call, you can check out that call. So the pricing is regular price going forward after this is going to be $19.97. The founder's pricing is a 25% reduction off of that regular price. Chances are that the founder's pricing will never happen again. So $14.97 is the price for the Brand Design Masters Guild. You can apply at bdmpodcast.com/guild. You can apply through March 13th. The group is going to start on April 3rd. So you can apply through the 13th. I'm going to have about a week where I'm going to evaluate the applications, and then I'm going to notify people about a week in advance of the start. The people who are notified will have to process their payment within 24 hours. And then we are going to go gangbusters into the Brand Design Masters Guild. Use this link, a secure HTTPS link. Please don't use www. Again, it's this domain forwarding thing that's a problem. bdmpodcast.com/guild. That will take you to the launch page with the application form in order to apply for Brand Design Masters Guild. You will not regret it. I absolutely guarantee you this is going to be huge. It's going to be absolutely amazing. I can't tell you, and also the one thing I would also say, if you don't know me very well or my history or what I've done, or, maybe you just popped onto this live today for the first time and you're like, oh, who is this guy? Go to that link and read through the content on that page. There's a number of testimonials from people who've worked with me, either been coached by me or are clients of mine, or I've been in masterminds with. And you can get a little bit higher comfort level with what we're going to be offering and what we're going to be doing. I, as I said, am a firm believer in masterminds, and the people who are the founding members of the Brand Design Masters Guild are going to get 10x their money's worth. I guarantee you. And here's the cool thing is that it's not just me. You're not just getting, personal direct attention from me. You're going to have 9 other serious professionals who are going to be focusing on you, helping you with your problems, helping you set goals, helping you be accountable. And you are going to be returning the favor and developing deep, meaningful network relationships with those people that will go on for a long time, I guarantee you. It'll be really, really super helpful. If you go to branddesignmasters.com, Giselle just shared that link, the product itself is not live yet. So you have to go to the sales page, which is the link that I offered, which I will put back up on the screen. That is the sales page where the application is. branddesignmasters.com is the overarching academy site. Until I receive all the applications and accept the applicants, the where you actually go and pay for the guild isn't going to be live. So the cart is not going to be open, and that you're not even going to be able to see it on the website until I accept the applications. So at the moment, this is where you need to go. All right, now, is it secret word time? Does everyone want to hear? Everyone around here the secret word? I'm going to go to the next slide. Here it comes. All right, wait. Secret word is unicorn. Because if you are utilizing partnerships and you are utilizing a mastermind and you are upping your skill level every day, you are heads and above all of the other creative professionals out there. You are a unicorn. You're developing unicorn skills. Unicorn's a keyword. So what you need to do to enter is email that secret word, unicorn, to admin@Verhaal, Verhaal, name of my agency, verhaal.co, no M at the end. Contest is going to end on Saturday, and I'm going to take everybody who emails me that secret word. Send me your contact information, so email, phone number, and I'll pull a name out of a hat. Whoever sends that to me, they're going to get a free hour coaching session with me. So I wanted unicorn, Patrice, unicorn. Okay, so that's going off screen. No, so write that down quickly because I'm going to take it away. admin@verhaal.co. All right? 3, 2, 1, gone. Okay. Now, the Academy. Didn't take that off. Just to remind you, new podcast, Brand Design Masters podcast. Please go on. Please take a listen. Please shoot me some stars. Write me a quick review. I'd really, really appreciate it. It's going to be a great podcast. And, as you're sending in your unicorn emails, if you have anybody that you really want to hear me interview, or any particular topics or themes that you want me to speak about on solo episodes, please shoot me those suggestions and those requests in your email. I'm always open to that. Or, even when you get a Brand Muse newsletter, if you just respond and say, wow, cool newsletter, and then give me an idea for something you want to hear or see, I'm always open to that. I really, really enjoy, actually, that kind of back and forth. So please do that. One last little thing. Remember, Daniel Scott and Bring Your Own Laptop, byol.me/Philip. You will get exposed to some of the best Adobe training out there for an amazingly low price. So check that out. byol.me/Philip is Daniel Scott's Adobe training website. And with that, I will go to some questions. So, okay, here we go. I'm going to back up. Go to Skycam. All right, so questions. Peter Lewis, long time ago, asked, we've all had partnerships that didn't work out. Any advice on picking the right partners? And I think I addressed that in how you need to vet partners. One of the best ways to vet partners is to be in a mastermind group or to get them through referrals and to work on a tiny project with them, or do a number of Zoom calls, share work with each other, develop a bit of a personal and professional friendship before you actually do a project with each other. A number of the partners I have in Verhaal, I either worked at an old agency with, I hired when I was at an old corporate job as a creative leader, agency partners, or one of them I did a Harvard session with, who I know. But if you always have your antenna, see, the thing is, once you start and you always have your antenna up to those people, it's pretty easy to find them. And once you start thinking about it in those terms, you can really scour your LinkedIn profile, your old coworkers, the people, professionals you keep in touch with, and you can find them. Dan asks, how do you split money with your partners? What due diligence things do you consider engaging? I'm going to kind of try to answer that question. How do you split money? when you write a proposal, say you have a client and you're writing a proposal that includes something you don't do. So there's a phase of work, you're doing brand identity, and then there's some, I don't know, copywriting for a website. The copywriting piece, you write up, you put the charge in your proposal, but that charge is whatever your partner is charging you plus your markup. So the client doesn't get any visibility to what your partner is charging you, and your partner doesn't get any visibility to what you're charging the client. There's a little bit of there's a curtain there. And as long as your partner is getting paid what they want, they should be happy. As long as your client is getting what they want and they've signed off to the proposal amount, they should be happy. So there's a little bit of you are putting up a curtain between your partners and your client, and you are the only person who really knows everything. So I hope that helps. Peter Lewis, do you have contracts with your agency partners? Yes, I do. I have non-competes in place. I have NDAs in place, and they write proposals for me for every project that they do with me. So I know what they're delivering, how much it's going to cost me. And I'm all about putting things in writing, because the quickest way to ruin a partnership or a friendship, client or partner, is not to have expectations set in writing clearly. Samantha says, you are talking about loose partnerships, right? So you don't have a monopoly on their time. You use them when you need them. Can't wait to hear what you say about finding partnerships. Yes, I'm talking about fluid partnerships. Essentially, I have a fluid agency model, and that's another reason why you want to have partners who are multiple partners who do a range of things, because you may contact your favorite copywriting partner and they might be busy. They might have signed a retainer for somebody exclusively for 2 months and you can't get them. So you might have to have another partner who does the same thing. So yes, there's a bit of uncertainty involved in that, whether your partner your preferred partner is may be not available. And that level of uncertainty is something that, as you're going through the proposal process and you've gotten the interest from the client and you're putting together a proposal, you can say to your project partner, say, this project looks like it's going to launch here, looks like it's going to end here. Are you available? So there's planning that goes into it way beforehand. So it's not like, you call them up and the next day you start, right? Hey, Rick's here. Ian's here. Cool. Ian's back. All right. Sorry, I have to read something. Okay. Any more questions? I answered all the ones that Joselle had emailed me. Unless, Joselle, you have more that you want to messenger me. Thanks again to Joselle Tech, who's in the comments, who's my moderator and a partner at Verhal. And she also has her own agency. That's how this creative economy works. And it is a sharing economy, and it is a very fluid partnership economy. And if there's a headline that I want to give you guys for today, if there is one headline I want to give you today, it's that if you learn how to operate a partnership type of environment, it will give you the skill set that you need to survive in the creative economy and the economy of the consultant economy that is going to be taking over our workforce in the next decade. And the reason why I'm really dogmatic about this and really passionate about telling you guys how to do this is because when I was an executive creative director at Landor Associates, global agency, right? Working with P&G, huge clients. And P&G started pulling back its business from Landor and giving it to smaller and smaller agencies. And subsequently, Landor had to lay off a lot of people because they lost a bunch of project work. And I was like, that's really interesting. Then I jumped over to PepsiCo, became a VP of design, global snacks for PepsiCo. And I, at PepsiCo, was on the client side. I started doing the same thing. So I had projects that I actually hired my old agency Landor to do. But then I started giving meaty, global Cheetos projects to like a little 3-person agency in Vermont. I never would have done that before. And the reason I did it is because they were partnership, they were fluid, they were fast, they were cheaper than Landor, and they really, really delivered for me. And they were all people who were ex-agency, ex-corporate people, so I knew that they were smart, capable, portfolio was amazing. And they served my needs as a pressured, corporate soda executive. That is where the agency landscape is going. And it's there already, actually. And it's only going to move more that way. Brick and mortar agencies are struggling. And the more you can own your destiny, own your future, build your own network, build your own flexible partnership ecosystem, the more you will be prepared for anything that comes your way. And certainly the way the agency economy is moving, certainly the needs of this current creator economy, and the fact that all companies in the world essentially have to really show up with creative in a very different way than they have in the past. So that's why I'm like super, super passionate about it. And I want to back up just one more time to the slide. And so you have the information again. Again, you can apply through March 13th for the Brand Design Masters Guild. Group starts on April 3rd through June 19th, 12 meetings. And you're highly, highly encouraged to make every single one. The time will probably be on Friday. It will probably be around 2 o'clock. But depending on where the people are from who are accepted into the guild, we may adjust the time so it is the least painful for the most amount of people. So don't freak out about the day or the time. Apply and fill out the questionnaire that's on this page as best you can. Make your best case, because you're going to be getting into a group of people that are going to take you to new places. So I wanted to share that link with you one more time. Again, don't use the www in the URL. bdmpodcast.com/guild will take you to the sales page, the application page. You can read all about what we're going to be offering, what we're going to be bringing to the table, and what we're going to be doing. And so, okay, a couple more questions that Joe Zell has sent me. Yes, what day? Friday. Friday meetings, early afternoon, depends on the predominant time zone of the people who are accepted into the guild. Question, is it normal to learn all the skills and services that you want to offer before finding a freelancer? Learn all the skills, services that you want to offer. Oh, I see what you mean. Do you have to know all of the skills or services you want to offer before you go out and finding people? Actually, the funny thing is, it kind of, the cart drove the horse in my personal business. And the fact is, as I brought in larger scoped projects, I found partners that could, let me think about this. I mean, I've had a long career, so I know a lot of people who do a lot of things. So I didn't have any doubt that I would be able to quickly find someone who I trusted who could work just about anything that I could bring in. And so I mean, if you want to offer a particular thing, say you want to offer social media marketing and websites, and you just do graphic design, you might want to find a web developer, a copywriter, social media marketing, execution expert. And then what you want to have on your website in terms of the services that you offer. And to a certain extent what you want, the kinds of clients you want to find. So yeah, you should have an idea. of what you want to be doing. And that will tell you the kind of partnerships that you should nurture and start off with. Okay. So what day? Yeah, we got that. So we're talking Fridays. Fridays for the Guild, April 3rd through June 19th, 12 meetings on Friday. 2 p.m. EST, Eastern Standard Time. But as I said, that might be adjusted depending on who are the approved applicants and members of the founders member group of the Brand Design Masters Guild. Scott, you're very welcome. Johnny, thanks for coming. Anna from Ottawa, thank you. And I'm going to scroll back and say hello to some more people. Alan, Amit, Scott, Dan, Rick, Peter, thank you for staying. Thank you for coming. Marcus, good to see you again, Marcus. Patrice, thank you so much. If there are any quick questions, I'll give you like 15 seconds to get in a final question. I'll look at the direct feed, so I'm not waiting for Giselle. And I wanted to thank you guys so much. Please go to bdmpodcast.com/guild and apply for the guild. You will not regret it. And I hope you go back and, maybe look at the video of this live one more time just to double check the content that I offered in terms of the value of partnerships. I wholeheartedly believe in them. It's going to be one of the major themes of the mastermind, making sure that we are preparing people with what they need to do their best work and have really solid businesses. But that said, everyone's going to be bringing their own particular business challenge and their own particular goals and their own particular skill sets to the group to share with everyone else. And we are all going to attack it together. And you're going to get a lot of brain power behind whatever your challenges and needs are. So with that, I'm going to blow, and this has been amazing. I've really enjoyed it. You're very welcome, Sheila. Thanks again for coming. I hope you enjoyed the content, and visit me at philipvandusen.com/muse. If you haven't, here, let me put this up on the screen. If you haven't subscribed to my newsletter, please do. This mailing list is where I make all my announcements, from going live to the guild, to my video courses that are coming down the pike, to my podcast. All of that comes out in the Brand Muse newsletter and on through the people who are on my email list, and that is how you join it. And when you join it, you'll get a free download of 100 really killer resources. One of the coolest things in my newsletter that people click on the most is that there's a resources section, 3 or 5 resources of really kind of cool resources that I found. And over the 100 newsletters that I've sent out, that resources section is the most clicked section. So what I did was I gathered 100 resources from that section and put them all in one PDF. And that's a free downloadable gift that you get when you sign up for my list. So definitely check that out. And thanks for putting the link in, Joselle. Really appreciate it. With that, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate your coming and checking out this live. And please send me unicorn to admin@verhal.co. And put your name in the hat for an hour coaching session. I look forward to talking to whoever I'm going to be talking to. So happy Thursday. I'll be back in your... Oh, by the way, one last thing. I'm going to be at Social Media Marketing World. I'll be in San Diego. I'm arriving Friday night. I'll be Saturday night. I'll be there Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. If anyone who's here or watching is going to be in Social Media Marketing World, I'm going to be walking around, so please text me, say hi, email me, and we'll get together, have a coffee. All right? So thanks again, you guys. I really appreciate it, and I hope you have a great rest of your day, and please check out the Guild. It's going to be amazing. All right? We'll talk again soon. Bye.